introduction.
Assalamu alaikum, ladies and gentlemen. So this is the third episode of Safa podcast, and we're going to talk about the details about how we developed our website and the bullshit that went into it, and then the samples and some more other details that went into the production and the development, basically. So to kick it off, then if you would like to get a bit into the website development.
Sure. Thank you, Risalet. I hope everyone is doing well. So basically, the last time we ended our podcast with the name of the brand and the color palette, and how we will stay loyal to our name and the values that we have decided for ourselves. The next best step for us was to figure out how can we get ourselves in the social media, basically through internet. Because of that, obviously, because we were a startup, we didn't have that kind of resources or ideas. We believed that every business needs to originally have a website, social media handles,
Well,
and a
we had
physical.
ideas, not the resources though. We had the ideas.
No, we had the by resources. I mean, what is in what is the best time to strike with the website. We believe that even before we have done any market research, we need to establish ourselves on the internet, right? This is what we believe because that's what we see in today's businesses. So to kick things off, I remember that for the first time ever, me and Risalit decided to purchase a domain for our brand, and because we are originated in Canada, we wanted to get our domain as a .ca. That was a great experience for us. We were able to secure the exact name that we desired, and we hope to keep it for as long as we can. Um, Now, when it comes to the website, I am not the tech guy per se. That's what Risalit is responsible for. So I remember that Risalit posted on Fiverr that he wanted to get a website done, but we had no idea that what will be on the website, like what will be the content of the website, and how will it be designed. So for that, we did some market research. We looked into multiple retailers precisely in the industry of beauty tools. We saw what how they were presenting their articles, uh, products. What were they mentioning about them in description? What were the prices? How were they different from each and every one individually? Based on that, we had some of the groundwork, and we were lucky enough that we were able to find a a special what would you call that? The guy that you got linked up with from Saudi
Oh,
Arabia.
okay. Okay, so there's a bit of a backstory to that. So what ended up happening was that, so see, the kind of website we needed to build was not just like a basic template cookie cutter kind of thing. We wanted something that would be more catered to what we wanted, a bit more personalized. And so we wanted to go back and forth with the developer and everything. And so what ended up happening was that one of my friends, I'm not gonna name who, worked for one of these companies like Fiverr or whatnot. And then I found out that through him that the Saudi government was paying this company a huge amount of money and
Hmm.
to basically support their talent. So if let's say you go to this company and you're like, I want this app developed, this company would tell you that okay, we have this program, you have this pool of developers and designers to choose from, and we can give you up to 1,000 US dollars in credit. And I found that out, and we capitalized on that, and we found quite a good developer, and we went back and forth until we got a product that we liked. So that was awesome. That was awesome.
Wonderful, but I do remember quite vividly that this kind of deal would have been much more productive and efficient if we would have had our market research as much as we know of today. At that point, I remember our website. We will be sharing that with you guys very soon. The website has an amazing interface. It has amazing. There was a lot of potential through which we could have scooped in a great traffic, but because it was in the early stages of our business, we didn't have enough information ourselves. It was really hard for us to figure out where would certain information go, what should be the rhythm of that information.
Our
So
previous product photo shoot was also not that good, but the one
it
that you
wasn't
had done, the last one, was just like beyond what we expected we could have. And so
right.
presenting what we had before just looked extremely poor and after those images. And so that
Absolutely.
was
Not just that, you know, like whenever someone would want to come on our website, there is this sense of, you know, familiarship that they would have, which they wouldn't from our website, because at that point, the thing that I want to focus on is never rush, figuring out the standard norms of starting a business. Like, you know, everybody should need to have a website. Just because you need to have one, there always should be the right time for you to set up one. Because we rushed and did this because that's how we thought our business would come into a clear picture. We had to go through multiple phases. We learned through all those stages. It was a learning process, no doubt. But it next time in the future, if we're supposed to do this thing again, we now know that what are the sources through which we need to gather information, what things we need to learn before we initiate setting up a website, and so forth. Instagram, Twitter, TikTok. Is that Do you agree with that?
yeah, more or less, more or less. But then it was also not having, like you just said, that if we had that market research done, it would have been a bit clearer as to how our website needed to look like, because we didn't know exactly how our business
Mm,
would function. So, for example, we were not doing e-commerce in the sense we don't have an e-commerce store on our website. We're you mostly selling to
it's actually called WooCommerce. So
Yeah, yeah, but
when
WooCommerce is the
mm,
plugin that you use for the e-commerce, right?
yeah,
So
so if we're going to be selling our own products on our own website, that kind of, that's what I heard from the developer. It's called a WooCommerce structure.
yeah, so that's one of the options, right? So that's one of the options. So you have other ones as well. But anyway, so we decided not to go with that right now, but we didn't know that if we were going to have an e-commerce
Mm,
option or not, and so we had to take that out, and so the time that we had the developer for. We once he delivered the project, we
mm,
realized that we needed to do some things differently, and so that's why the website is currently going some last revisions, and it should be
mm.
coming out anytime soon now with the new product photo shoots and everything.
Right.
Yeah.
How do you like the new photo shoot?
The new photo shoot is like the Apple products in a way. It's
Right.
just like yeah, really, really, really professional. And yeah, I think people would like the products would sell themselves if we build a
Absolutely.
good system. If we make it easy for people to do payments, and then I think the products will sell themselves. And if we do the back end work and make sure the inventory and all those things for our retail customers and for if we do e-commerce down the road or for our wholesale customers, if we're doing the communication part right, then I
Right.
think those products will sell themselves.
Absolutely. One
Yeah.
more point I would like to add is the reason we opted out from having our website and e-commerce is because as much as we were doing our own market research, we had kept our relative in the loop, who was guiding us on how things go in this industry. So according to him, because we are a startup, we don't have that kind of capital where we can manufacture a certain amount of products and have them in our warehouse ready to be sold. Because of that, we cannot really give a certain price tag to our products. So basically, our website even now is more of an inquiry-based website where we are going to show all of our products that we have the capacity to be manufactured. And if we do have the capacity for that, it automatically means that if there's a customization that needs to be done for a certain order, we do have the potential for that as well. The prices that we will be offering to our clients would be based entirely on the quantity and the time and and the special requests that they will be that they would want for their order. So that's one thing that I would like to
Yeah,
add that down the
but
road.
let's uh, build on this. Let's hold this a little bit. Um, so the customizations that you mentioned, yeah, that is one of the services that we provide. But as of now, we can only do that for large like wholesale orders.
Absolutely,
Right? And then down the road,
absolutely,
we will be able to do that for, let's say you're a salon, a beauty school, a beauty salon,
absolutely.
something, and you need just 12 items. And
Hmm.
then down the road, we will be able to cater to small quantities as well. But right now, we
100%.
don't have the operational capacity to cater to that right now.
Absolutely, because
Yeah.
we don't really know what exact because of the element of customization is so prominent in our business model. We cannot really risk, not that we have the funds. Even if we did have the funds, we cannot really manufacture products in advance for this kind of a technical industry. But
What do
down
you
the
mean?
road, I mean that if we had the funds and if we do decide that okay, let's have some stock available, that we can sell to people, we cannot really risk using those funds for an industry where there are numerous amounts of technical variety in every industry in every category. So it's better for us to
Also, so you're
yeah.
saying that we can't possibly have the stock made for each and every catalog, is
we
like that,
at
that
we where we stand at this point, and that
yeah,
is why
yeah.
we never bothered getting into this. But we will tell you in probably in at the end of this podcast or the next one that we change the strategy. But when we speak of targeting um, possible clients that we have in mind, for that at this point we will be limiting ourselves to an inquiry based website.
Yeah, you're right, and I agree. But to add to what you just said, we have dozens and dozens of more than 100 products, right? And we can't have
Oh,
inventory for
we have over
all.
500 products.
Yes, and we can't have inventory for all those products because that's just ridiculous. Because it depends on so some of the products are quite specialized and depends on the customer, and so some
Right.
products are just made to order.
Absolutely. And if we speak from a manufacturer's perspective, if you think of a factory, so if you have, for example, 50 labor working in a factory every day, the level of premium product can be only be expected if the labor is in routine, continuously making the same product every day when they're coming to work. For example, if we have over 300 articles and we want to have a stock available for that every day there are 12 steps in this industry, by the way. 12 steps into the final product is put into a packaging. So if every day the labor is coming and it's making a different product, they will definitely be compromising on the quality because it takes time for the labor to get used to of making the product. So that is why whenever you think of as a manufacturer, because we are not a distributor, we will be distributing our own manufactured products. So we have to really consider that what is the best quantity that is possible for us to place an order so that we can expect that every individual unit is of the utmost premium quality. And that's not possible if we just make small orders of all the categories available. It's not a really smart decision.
Yeah, all right. And so our initial plan, well, we're still sticking with it. So was to get our samples and work on our samples, but then that didn't go as we planned it would. Is that something you want to talk about?
Okay, so I'll pick up from where I left off. So we did the market research. We did the website. We got our photography done for the articles that we will be manufacturing. We had that on the website. Now our next step was to get a sample to get something on hand with our logo with Safan on it, so that we can reach out in the market the old school style, show our product and our quality to potential clients, and get an order. So our next step was to make a sample kit. For that, we went through. We had about 2 weeks of market research where we looked on Amazon, prominent pioneers of this industry, and what were the hot running items they had on their website. Spoke with a number of manufacturers in the industry to see what were the items that they were manufacturing and where were they selling it to. So we kind of did that research and found out there was a list of 20 to 30 articles in this entire industry that were predominantly being sold in US and Canada. So based on that, we spoke with our relative who is who himself is a business owner in this industry, and we requested him to prepare a sample kit for us, the sample kit that we can potentially present to our clients, and also show the level of quality that we would be offering. And because we are a startup, the cost was in our hand, including the overheads added to the cost and the customs and taxes. We still have a clear picture at this point, what is the bracket between which we will be selling our units for in the future. But because our factory that we were requesting the sample kits from is based in Pakistan, due to the economic fluctuation and political instability, there has been quite a bit of a setback in getting those sample kits on time, being delivered to us. And we did wait. We have done our due part in being patient, but then we spoke with one of our relatives, a retired industrialist in the same industry, who's spent well over 35 years in the beauty and the dental industry, surgical. We spoke with him, had quite a few long calls, and we decided that in the meantime, while our samples are
He's
still
our
being
mentor,
fixed,
basically.
he's our mentor. We spoke with him, and he actually does know the factory owner from whom we're getting our sample kits prepared from. So he gave us an idea. He said that due to the political instability, you can never really trust on one source for your articles, for your orders. It's never really possible. So he suggested us that we should look for warehouses located in our region, warehouses uh, owned by factory owners whose factories are in Pakistan or India or Europe or Japan. These are the only four countries from from where we can really expect our products to arrive from. So the next step was for us to do some working. It was really hard for us to get access to contact the warehouses, but Irsalit here was able to figure that out. So I really thank him for that. He was able to get as much possible information as we could, and then we started calling. This was the first time ever that we cold called um, as business owners to business owners. Usually, you don't really get to see that. Even I have worked in sales in the past, and usually call possible customers. Um, there was a lot to learn. As I spoke with Risalit um, a week ago, when I first began so the idea behind contacting warehouses is that while our sample kits are being prepared back home, we need to get access to some products that we can have on our hand, and we can start flipping them to create enough funds that we can relocate those funds in getting in preparing our inventory with this logo of Safa itself. And that's only going to be possible if we can give a certain amount of down payment to a factory owner, precisely our relative back home, and ask him to commit in preparing an entire inventory that he can later ship to us, and we can have it on hand, so we can slowly transition towards reaching out to potential customers, households, and start selling, small quantities, just like get some capital generated. So but in the meantime, we need to have a source of income. For that, we were reaching out to local warehouses, getting in touch with them to see if their price is sufficient enough for us, to resell that to potential clients that we have in mind. Um, we started the phone call. I remember. I'll share my experience first, side. Then I would suggest for you to share yours with the
Okay.
cold calling. So I've never spoken to a business owner as a business owner, but clearly, his business is more successful than mine. So I believe that, so our mentor guided us in such a way that, present yourself as someone who has no idea about this industry, and contact business or warehouses, and see and find someone you can be transparent towards. Tell them that I don't know anything about this industry. I'm just here. I've heard that there's potential, potential in this industry, and I would want to get into this, but I don't know where to begin. Present yourself as someone who has no knowledge, and the warehouse owner has to be the one who guides you, gives you product that you can go out in the world and sell it, and come back to him, and have this emotion running around. Um, the biggest problem that I encountered first was to find, uh, the entire list of warehouse contact that we had. It was really hard for us to find the right warehouse. Our only choice was to call every one of them. Not only was it time consuming, the people that we were interacting with were mostly receptionists who had no idea about how this goes, because they mostly speak, um, with, you know um, with another receptionist of a business, who are just coordinating with the delivery and the account payables and all of that. So it was really hard to actually find someone with whom I could just even talk to. Most of our phone calls were 20-minute wait time and just 30 seconds of interaction. But after like 6 or 7 phone calls, I realized, God damn, I'm also a business owner. I cannot speak with them like a customer. So I changed my tone in a way that I can sound more, um, you know, busy, right? Committed, tied
Assertive.
up in different things. Because when I was speaking with them initially, I was very polite, humble, someone. I have to be that, but with the right person, someone as our mentor has told us to be with. But to get to that person, you need to sound like a businessman. So we've rung numerous calls. We were only able to get access to one warehouse located in Montreal. They asked us to set up an account payable with them. I went forward with it, only to find out that they mostly focus on um, shampoos and lotions that are associated with manicure, pedicure, and beauty industry. They do have tools themselves, but they are packaged. And even though they do call themselves a warehouse, they're actually like a big shop that is only selling items to um, beauty experts and salons themselves. Someone who we're ought to be. So the search is still going on. All we're looking forward is to find a warehouse who actually has a stock made from his own factory, from whichever country his factory is located in, because this is the kind of inventory that is absolutely A class. This is like the A class inventory, because they would never have a poor quality product shipped with all the duty and taxes and everything to only be placed in a warehouse, across the globe. So that is a new approach that we have. So Risal, how was your experience speaking with the warehouses?
Yeah, so what happened was that we started working on the same call list, and then I found one person who runs a store or a warehouse kind of. He has a physical location, but it's more of his office. So he runs an e-commerce store, and he provides wholesale options as well. So I'm in the process of arranging a seller account with him. So let's see
Okay.
how that goes. But I'm not feeling too optimistic with this guy. Um, because he understands that he's simply going to make more money because like we're not buying a wholesale amount for him. We're even if you're buying dozens of things in like unit amounts of dozens per product, he's still going to sell us at retail. So, uh, but in the start, it is where we're starting, right? But then, like you mentioned, what happened with the samples and everything, so we spent too much time with the runaround and everything, and because we had already paid for the samples and we still haven't received them, so we're still expecting them, but it's not something that we're waiting for things to happen that once the samples arrive, then we do something. So instead, and I'm just summing up
Hmm.
what you said. So instead, like our mentor instructed us was uh, that you guys are just being stupid, basically, and then you guys are just waiting for this thing to happen, and what if it doesn't happen? Are you just gonna keep waiting? So you're like, oh, it was like a big brain moment, and he said that, look, if you pursue this way, you're also going to have to take care of the import related issues and everything if you want to avoid the costs, and if you don't want to, then you would have to pay an import officer, a customs officer, or like a customs clearing company, and that was also costing somewhere around a grand, and we don't want to spend that. So he said that instead, why don't you guys just to get things running, and find a wholesaler or a distributor that already has these products that you want to sell in store in their inventory, and you buy them cheap, you buy them at wholesale price, and you sell them in local markets. And so
What,
he's
Ismail, can you please elaborate to the future viewers what do you mean by local market?
yeah. So thanks. So I'm getting into it. So by local markets, what we mean is so he lives in the East Coast and of Canada, and I'm in the West Coast. So what we mean by the local markets is that, for example, farmers markets or flea markets or any
Mm.
roadside markets where you see merchants selling, and
Mm.
that's one of the very good ways to put our products out there and have cash flow on a weekly basis. So this can be done over the weekend and everything. And at first, I'm going to be honest, I was reluctant about this idea because it just didn't sound cool to me. But then I had the conversations with our mentor, and then I found out later that just behind that, yeah, of course, it doesn't sound all that glamorous and everything. But then,
Mm.
if you look at the numbers of doing that as a business owner, it is sufficient just by doing this on the weekends that you can generate enough money on average that you can pay your business expenses, and you can have more inventory coming up, make bigger orders, and even pay your rent and all those expenses as you need to. And so I just didn't expect that because I've never in Canada at least been at the in such a place where I would have to have roadside stalls or something. So I just didn't know
Mm.
what kind of numbers they're running. And you can say that was my ignorance or whatever, but so we're right now in the process of going through our calling list and finding and sourcing our products cheap so we can sell in the local markets. And Zen's already done the work, and he's found really good spots in the GTA and where we can have our stalls set up. And I think that's all year round potentially, or was that just in summer, or both, I think.
Uh, yeah, very good question. I also want to add it to your point that along with the local market, we will be experimenting selling it to salons as well, just to get the confidence and the rush, just to see what are the
Hmm.
uh, occurring questions that such business owners really request from you. Because when you sell these things in a flea market, precisely, you just the odds of you coming into contact with a business owner are not as high as entering into a business store and selling them. So So during my research for the flea market, I witnessed that there are two kinds of markets that exist. One is an indoor market, and one's an outdoor. The indoor market is all year long. The it's like a bazaar. It's mostly cash based. Even if it's not cash based, it's the energy that's inside is, quick money. So things that you would not necessarily find in incorporated stores, you find it there. Souvenirs, cultural artifacts, jewelry, and things like that. Things which are under strict regulations. If you just tend to buy them from proper sources. For example, um, I visited a flea market, and half of the portion was jewelry shops. Now that jewelry, that real gold and white gold and silver, is important from all around the world. And the importers themselves are individuals who have set up shops in these flea markets. So the margin that they're setting up for the net profit is not as high as buying that white gold from Tiffany or Spence Diamonds. So same goes for this industry as well. If you tend to buy a tweezer from, for example, Shoppers Drug Mart, or any of the store that has it, there's an added cost that in the final price is really high, as compared to what we will be selling at the flea market. Now, there's another kind of flea market that is an open air flea market, and that is what our mentor is focusing on. The reason being, if you go inside for a covered flea market, you need to first lease a spot. Now you need to give them void checks for that, and it's basically being having a shop. So when I told that to my mentor, his first comment was, "Zen, do you want to be a businessman or a shopkeeper?" And I was really surprised because like that's what he wanted me to work on. So his idea was that this is not your real source of income. This is something that you will only be doing on Saturday and Sunday. Because of that, you cannot really invest in this in that kind of a way, not be committed to that. So you need to only opt for open air. And when I mean open air, I only mean summer season. So
Okay.
basically, what he had in mind is that you will be traveling all over the East Coast, hitting up different flea markets in open air. And his idea that he has given us is that we need to have a minivan. And now, why do we need to have a minivan? Because we're business owners, and this will be our business car. We will have a minivan, we will make a banner, we will have a table, and we will have a canopy. And we will be traveling all over Canada if we have to. And we will be setting up our stall, whatever there's a flea market in summer, have our products laid out, sell them, get the cash, close our minivan, head home. That's it.
Yeah,
For
yeah, and then
this,
go
for
ahead.
this, the only commitment that we would need to have is having a vendor license. Now, I believe that a vendor license was a big thing, but that when I was speaking with the flea market owners who have proper markets, I spoke with them and asked them, "Do I need to have a vendor license?" He says, "No, you don't have to have one because I have one, and you're selling it under my property." That was a really red flag for me. That means that I am bound to him. And the only reason our mentor wants us to do this on the weekend is so that we are not committed or bound to anyone. So that all the money that we are going to be earning, that is 100% ours, and we don't need to pay anybody else except for gas
And the overhead, of course, yeah, the
and the
cost
overhead.
and
Yeah.
all that. But yeah, and then also to mention again that this is like your uncle said that you want to be a shopkeeper or a business owner, right?
Mhm.
And we actually want to go beyond a business owner. We're trying to build a brand. Like the philosophy of our brand is fun without an end, but humble
Of course.
beginning. So right now, this is where we're starting, and the goal is to basically have a system going where we're generating revenues, and then saving up towards eventually making a large manufactured order with our own logos and everything, so that we
Mhm.
can actually put our branding and our marketing into practice the way we plan to in the future, and which you guys will find out in the following sessions as well.
Right.
about what our vision for a beauty brand is and where we're going to take Safa and how we're going to provide value back to the community as well. And about how basically the beauty industry worldwide has just sold these fake beauty standards to people, and people are starting to realize that they want to value their diversity and their authenticity. So
Mm.
we want to go towards that. This is, if we can say, a stepping stone or our vehicle to go towards that vision.
100%, 100%. That's exactly what we're planning to do. And sometimes there is this thing that whenever we've waited so long to actually start a business, that we have so many ideas in making a brand, and we have so many ventures that we want to focus on. But when you hit the market, you realize that regardless of how big your dreams are, you really have to scrape and start from the scratch in order to make a brand.
Yeah, it also depends on like budgets and those things too, right?
Absolutely,
These
absolutely,
are our
100%.
circumstances, and we have a
Yes,
big vision, but this is where we're starting. So someone could
absolutely.
have $1 million or few $1 million or a few 100,000 to do what they want, but this is where we're at.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and that is why we have in our first podcast we also spent so much time in convincing and reassuring our future viewers that because of our circumstances, we will always remember to keep our values and be as organic as humanly possible, because we do understand the reality, because we did not start from a higher stone. We have to like build everything, and that's why there have been like so many setbacks, because every step of the way we're learning things. We sometimes we get good guidance, sometimes we don't, sometimes we get lucky, sometimes we hear something. So we always have, but we don't have the right capital or resources
Failing
to actually
forward.
go
Sorry.
heading forward, right? So
Sorry.
like we have to actually experiment every
Yeah.
step of the way. Also, I would like to tell you, Rasali, remember last conversation we got our pamphlet approved over podcast,
Yeah.
so it's finally here.
Nice.
Do you want the audience to see the pamphlet?
No, no, not right now.
Why not?
I don't know.
Okay, I just thought that because we're keeping everything organic, we would just show. And one thing that I was like thinking about as well, that over time, as we get more inventory, we get more capital, or all of our means of advertising will get so much more improved with time.
Yeah, yeah.
So
And then even though we've mentioned our vision in a way, in some capacity in our first episode or a pilot, but then we have to be consistent with it and keep doing it again and again and again until
yeah,
whoever
there's yeah,
it stays in the front. So that's
yes, yes,
basically
yes.
our true north. That's where we're headed. And whoever our viewers are, our listeners, or our customers in the future, they know why we do what we do and where we're going so that they can follow us and come with us.
Totally. So, to sum it up, can you please, Rasada, give us a summary of where do we stand and what is our next step?
Yeah, yeah, I got it. So to sum it up, we talked about how we built our website and the challenges we had with it. And so the main challenge was that when we got started, we were not clear about our business functions. We had an idea, but then what it would look at on the ground was different than what we had envisioned in the start. And when you're building a website, you need to know what to design for. And so there was a little bit of friction in that. And then in our, oh my God, we didn't mention the first product photo shoot that we got done. Bro, that was not a smooth process. That was not a smooth process. There were fingerprints smudged on the photos, and that was just
It
dog.
took us about 3 months to actually retrieve the products that we wanted done the photo shoot off.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. There was an extreme lack of professionalism. which we hated because and then again, it depends on like who you're dealing with and everything. And then this is something that eventually we're going to find people that value professionalism and work ethic like we do, and who deliver on the deadlines that we decide on, that are decided on. And but yeah, we started on really rough and shaky grounds, and but the photo shoot that then got done, which you guys will get to see, are just like Apple products, but tweezers and scissors and shears and all those nice things. Um, yeah, so that was the website part, and then the market research. Then mentioned a component of that, the online part that we did regarding the e-commerce side, what the big name brands were, or the competitors or the people, the established names in the industry like Tweezerman and Lancome and all these brands were already doing on Amazon and other stores. We basically
Yeah.
got an idea about what were the most common products being sold in the market. So that was one aspect of our market research. The other thing, if we want to get into the branding side of the market research, that's we're not going into that in this podcast. That's another
Mm.
discussion. Uh, so that was one. What did we get into after that? The samples. The samples. We talked about the sample. Did we talk about the samples?
We've
Yeah,
talked
we
about
did.
the
We did.
samples, but we haven't talked about the hurdles that we've encountered in getting the samples in on hand.
Yeah, yeah, but before you want to get into that, or if not, but let me round it up, and then we
Mm.
got into what was that? The last thing we talked about, the
Let's
flea
quick.
markets, and then how
Yeah.
we're basically trying to source the products at wholesale price at the wholesaler distributor in Canada
Locally.
locally. Thank you.
Yeah.
Source the product locally and sell it in local markets to raise capital to make a big to purchase make a big manufacturing order basically. So that's where
Mm.
we're at right now.
Absolutely. And our there have been some progress in our hunt of market research that we will be sharing with you guys once we have done some working on it. Along with that, hopefully, our website is expected to be completed with the new photo shoot and new mindset that we've developed as well for the industry itself. In the next 2 weeks, once that is done, um, what we have planned is contacting potential clients um, who we wanted to show our sample kits and then get business from. But because we cannot really expect to wait on sample kits, so what we'll do once our website is complete, we'll be contacting them and requesting for them to give us a small order to get things started. And because these are big clients, they don't necessarily do anything for free. So what we're hoping to do is get in touch with them, build a PR with them, have a back and forth. So there's a thread, so that once we do have the sample kits on hand, it's easier for us to set up a meeting and go and present Safan to them, and potentially get an order.
Yeah, yeah, pretty much,
At the
pretty much.
same
And
time,
oh,
we were working on the flea markets every weekend, and I believe that's something based on our mentor. That's something that we would be doing regardless of how successful inshallah Safa becomes in the future.
inshallah.
We will stay committed to taking our minivans on Saturday, Sunday, and having quick flip of cash.
Yeah, and we have a bigger vision with our minivans and the whole Safan brand that we will eventually share. But right
Absolutely,
now, we're not getting into that. It's
absolutely.
and you will get to see the journey as well. We'll be streaming that and making videos of the entire process too. So it's
Totally.
we're barely getting started.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, and the best, the best thing that I'm really proud of, Safa, is that no matter what kind of setbacks we've had so far, they've only been because of our element of experiment. We haven't really been, um, um, you know, we haven't really had any sort of setback which would have demotivated us being as experimental as we were
The
from day
samples
one.
were a little bit of a setback,
It
though.
is. It's a
Yeah,
setback. It's a setback. But now you know who should be your supplier, right?
yeah. We spend a lot of time with that bullshit, bro.
True,
Yeah,
true.
but
But
that's how you learn, right? That was sort of our
absolutely,
blind spot. We were just putting all our eggs in one basket, and that's yeah.
absolutely. And down the road, now, because of the reality of political instability and economic crisis is a very big factor when it comes to manufacturing, because the raw materials are the first thing that gets targeted first. There's no supply of it in the market, or the prices are very fluctuating. So the time of completion of any um, order really matters. So we've learned that we thought it was just a myth, but it's really a big factor. um, as small as a labor. The day there is an increase in petrol prices, uh, in Pakistan, for example, there is a change of attitude in the labor's performance. That can affect as little as that. So imagine if you take that on a grand scheme, there are setbacks every step of the way. So for that, we will be making sure that we have an alternative as a supplier, in a way, for a supplier from whom such fluctuations are not as implicable as of that of our original supplier.
And yeah, since you mentioned that, so let's talk about one of our brand philosophies as well. I know, but a little bit of a backstory about Pakistan. So, the GDP of Pakistan isn't that much. It's not one of the. It's a country that's not doing too good these days, especially because of political stuff that happened. But still, the future is bright. We're alive, first of all, so the future is bright
Hmm.
of the country and a lot of other people like us. But
Absolutely.
nonetheless, there are people who work every day so that they can provide a meal for their family. And like Zen said, if the gas, we call it petrol back home, if those prices go up, it really affects the people back home. And so
Hmm.
before almost a year ago, Pakistan was selling the cheapest petrol gas in the whole world. And
Hmm.
now those prices have almost went twice, right?
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
and that is catastrophic for the working class.
Yes.
And so, as our brand, we're not one of those brands that that can benefit from hardworking people who are just paid pennies, and we sell those products at like crazy markups, and then only we're getting rich. But instead, we want to give back to the people who are the laborers, who are the workers, who are producing this thing. And basically, we want to provide value across the chain from the producer, the worker, and to our customer. And so we
Hmm.
want to include
100%.
everybody into this. And this is not just about us making money.
Hmm.
This is about
Absolutely.
building a
Yes.
business that
Totally.
all gives. This is about us trying to bring our vision of ethical business into perspective, the ethics that we've learned through Islam. So we want to put that into practice, and we want to, there's this thing going. There are no ethics in business. People
Yeah.
love to say stuff like that. We disagree
Yeah.
with that.
Yes.
So yeah, that's one of our philosophies as well. And down the road, when we have the funds and as we start realizing our brand vision and building Safa, this will come into play. And yeah.
I would like to add a really good point I learned recently in the same context, that we all belong, both of us, we belong to Canada, and this was originally the land of the Aboriginals. So
Hmm.
there is this, in the context, in the genre of economic geography, there is this concept of Western capitalism and indigenomic economics of the indigenous people. So
All right.
the Western capitalist idea is to maximize the profit with the utmost exploitation of the resources, right? And that is a very normal thing, and that is because of this concept. Things like there's no ethics in business are said, and it is commonly believed in. On the other hand, um, the indigenous people, the way they do business is with little or no cost to the natural resources, to the land, and to the people that occupy that land. So that's exactly what Sapana stands for as well. We believe that there's no reason to exploit any sort of resource or any sort of demographic for a increase in your capital. There's absolutely no room for that, and that is what we'll ought to do. And not only that, along with this, Safan will always make sure that it provides more than it brings in.
Yeah, yeah, 100%, 100%. Yeah. So that it's beautiful what you mentioned. So you're basically saying that the economy that the indigenous people practice is basically a circular economy model where what they produce goes back into the environment, not like the normal the capitalism that we see have practiced around the world is that this what is that called design when something like something is made so that it becomes obsolete so that you can't repair it. And there's a term for that. I can't think of it right now. Design obsolescence or something like that. I can't
Oh, I
remember
wouldn't
exactly.
know.
But so for example, all these computers are made and they're made in a way now, especially that you can't repair them, you can't recycle them.
Hmm.
And
Right.
this is especially the concept of recycling. A lot of people think that they're saving the planet by putting the plastics in plastics and the glass in glass,
Hmm.
but then they all go in the power plants and they get burned here, or they get sold to recycling companies that are basically companies in Poland or India, Pakistan, that side of the world, and where these things are just basically, not taken care of in a proper way, and they're
Hmm.
polluting the environment and everything. So you're not actually doing anyone any good. You're just getting rid of the problem by shipping it to a different part of the world. So we
Absolutely. And yeah.
we
Sorry,
want
go
to
ahead.
design no, thank you. So we want to design products that actually last and that give you the value that you pay for. So down the road, the products that we plan to design, once we get into designing and manufacturing our products, we're not going to be designing for us and that you use the products and just throw away so you can keep coming to us for more money. Well, we're going to be targeting like medium to premium demographics so that you get what you pay for basically, and then the people who make those products and everybody through the chain feels that they're being what is it, rewarded for the work.
Absolutely. Absolutely. 100%. All
Uh,
right.
so that's all from my end. Anything you want to mention?
No, the next podcast will be more interesting because of the current things that every podcast is interesting so far as to be honest. But the next one will have new updates, the most recent updates from our current activities in setting up our business.
All right, and we're also going to share an interesting detail about the podcasts, the episodes that will follow the next one, and so that's
Oh yeah,
going to be exciting about where this is headed.
sure. Sounds good.
Yeah, yeah.
All right.
All right.
That's it for now.
Yeah, good to see you, bro. Take care.
Take care.